Good afternoon, people.
Good afternoon.
This is Jason.
This is Lee, dog, Rogan Camp.
All right.
So,
So today we're going to be doing a purchase agreement with VA financing, and then we're going to go through filling out the purchase agreement, and then we're going to fast forward to also include the inspection contingency removal form. I'm going to role play how that's going to work, and then actually fill that out what we want to present to the seller once we get that back and filled out. So
awesome. Jason, congrats on finding a ready, willing, and able buyer. Who are they pre-approved through?
First International.
Awesome. Joe's great over there. Did they, if it's a different lender and it's not someone that I know, or if it's Quicken or someone else, I might say, okay, a lot of sellers or selling agents and even builders might not even accept or consider your offer, especially if you're a FHA, VA, USDA government loan, unless it's a local representative. So Quicken, if you're submitting an offer for VA, not likely. Oh, by the way, if you have a condo and you want to go VA, there's only one place in town that'll do those that I know of, and that's Wells Fargo. So if you have a condo going VA,
So it's a good idea to get to know at least 5 lenders by name, by face, go visit with them, find out what plans they offer, what they're different. Every lender has different things that they do better than the other lender or different programs that they offer. So it's good to build relationships with at least 5 in town.
exactly. I have two favorites that get a ton of business from me, and then I have, you're right, about 3 others that are just in case Joe and Aaron are not home for the weekend and we have to write an offer.
Yep.
So, all right, we're gonna pull this up here. I did grab which house it is, and we'll just go. There's 2 different ways to get to transaction desk from here. You can either go down on this down arrow to transaction desk, or you can go over on this one.
They both take you to the same page?
Yep, correct. And so I'm gonna go to transaction desk. What is, so the 5 things that we went over in the buyer consult, I'm sure you had a successful buyer consult and they already hired you, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. So they already know, and you already asked them the 5 things that we need to know to negotiate, which are, what's the name on the title, or what names or business name do they want on the
Tom
offer?
Davis.
Tom Davis. All right. And how much do they want to offer?
245,000, and they want the seller to pay 3% closing costs.
Okay, that sounds pretty fair. If it was below 240, and I already did my homework, so that I know that house is likely worth what they're asking, even the 250 if we had to. 3%, I appreciate that. That's a normal amount to ask for on closing costs. And in my experience, calling the lender when I get a buyer that wants to ask for that, VA is a little different animal. You likely won't need all 3% because there's some waived fees for a veteran. And by the way, did you thank that veteran for their service?
Of course I did.
Of course, I knew you did, but I always thank the veteran for their service when they qualify for that.
Absolutely.
And they likely will only need around 2%. Just call your lender and know for sure. But on a $250,000 house, even 2% is going to be too much.
So what you're saying is when I'm writing the offer, in fact, before I even submit the offer, write the offer, figure out what are the closing costs roughly going to be on that property, and then I present that to my buyers so we can make the correct offer.
Yep. And the reason you don't want to ask for too much, I don't see why it would even be over 3,000 to 3,500. I believe it's going to be even less than that. The reason you don't want to ask for too much is in case the seller, because that nets the seller less. If you ask for 5,000, or 3% would be around $7,500, and you definitely don't need that much. So if you only need 2,500 to 3,000, then it makes your offer look better, especially if you're in a competing offer situation. Then
And what if you ask for 3% and your closing costs are only $3,000? Then what happens?
Then 2 things can happen. Depends on how it's written. It's starting to change. There's a couple of different scenarios where you can't get the money back. It used to be where at closing, if you only needed, if you asked for too much, then you just get to discount it off the purchase price or try to use it somewhere else. But now there's a few scenarios in North Dakota that you can't now. that just goes back that like you lose the money for your buyer. So that's another reason to have a great
So you
relationship.
have to be really careful.
Yep.
With how much you're asking for closing
Yep.
costs.
Yep. And don't get nervous about it. Just ask. Just be resourceful. Call you. Have a good relationship with your lender. So, all right. And you said it's a VA loan, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's awesome. 0% down. Is that the reason? I mean, there is VA loans where I've seen people put 5, 10, 20% down, but they just use their VA membership. What's the word I'm looking for? Their VA that they call qualifications, so that because they want 0% down. That's what most of them use it for. But there's other benefits to having it.
0% down and a little bit better interest rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than a conventional.
Correct.
So a couple of good reasons.
Yep.
And even if they can afford to put more money down, if they want to put that money into an investment or invest in the stock market, they have that option.
Mm-hmm.
Or they because of their veteran status.
Yep. Is that the reason your veteran wants
Yep.
the VA? Okay.
Yeah, they just didn't want to put the money into the house. So
okay.
Considering the market's been appreciating for so many years.
Side note on that, the when you're doing a USDA loan and or a VA loan, you cannot charge the buyer a $4.95 transaction fee. So in this case, congratulations. Not in the buyer consult, when I hear that they're going to go VA loan, then I say, well, good news, I just saved you another $495 that we don't charge, that we can't charge you as a brokerage, that most people do.
Perfect.
What day do you want to close?
End of September. So 37 days.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but if I call Joe or Aaron right now, they will likely, okay, just know, love you lenders, and they are very conservative on their numbers. When you ask them, hey, is there any chance if we get this conventional loan done, can we get it done in 30 days? They'd say, Lee, because they don't want to be the bad guy in the end, and so they're more conservative on their numbers. If you call them and say, I have a VA loan, they're likely going to want, 60 days. So 60 from right now is, so if you go to your little calendar, even in the buyer consult, this is a good time, just assume that they're A buyers and they're going to want to make an offer as soon as you look at 1 to 5 houses. So then let's say if we find the perfect house right now, Mr. Buyer, August, September, October 22nd is a Sunday. You can do it the Friday before. So October 20th, does that sound like that's the second Friday before the end of the month. And if you want to put in your 60-day notice, that's perfect. You can be out. You don't even have to be until the 31st. That
works. 20th.
20th works good. All right. And I can put honor before that just to be safe. So anyway, it'll save us a signature later if we need to. So honor before October 20th. Does that work for you, buyer? Or before October 20th. Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
All right. And how much down payment or how much earnest money?
500.
Okay. I also appreciate that. Just
Geez, I'm doing everything wrong.
let your buyer know that 500 that may work. I'll go to bat for you. I work for you. Your fiduciary duties that I owe you. That just know that, let's set them up, cast a little bit of doubt that the selling agent might come back, especially on a $250,000 property, that the selling agent might come back and request a little more earnest money than that. So
okay, you can, 1% is that you thinking, or
1%?
What do you usually do if it's a $200,000 or $300,000 home?
Yep, in my buyer consult, 1% is what I advise. Although lately I've been getting $1,000 to work. So anytime it's under $1,000, unless it's a $40,000 rental property, which is hardly never. But if it's a $250,000 house, I would say the minimum of $1,000. It just puts a little skin in the game. It's a little glue for the whole project. So if my buyer says that they have 500, I will say, okay, I'll go to bat for you. That may work. Just know that a lot of selling agents are going to come back and say $1,000, and then at that time, Mr. Buyer, I'm going to have to ask you, Can you make payments on the other two? I know that's okay. A lot of them are cash broke, so a lot of buyers are. So if you can do 500 now, is there a chance if we have to keep the deal together? Could you do another 250 in 2 weeks and another 250 past that or something like that? Just coaching them up front. It's a lot easier to say that now rather than after the counter offer comes back. And
right,
yeah, a lot easier saying it
it's
now.
the importance of having a buyer consult, talk about all these little details.
Yep.
So
Okay. And what contingencies are they going to have in there?
the VA financing contingency, and then the inspection contingency.
Okay. No house to sell.
Nope.
And are they in a month-to-month lease right now?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And First International. And did you call the listing agent to let them know that an offer is coming over?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Should I do that?
Yep. Just in case they're going back and forth negotiating on one right now, it's always best as soon as you know for sure that they're going to make an offer, shoot at least a text, if not a phone call to the listing agent and say, we're bringing you an offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by now, if you're going through the classes, you've already been through a purchase agreement. We're going to go through these a little faster because we're going to add different things towards the end. But we still want you to watch these and follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we're going to get into more detailed trainings as we go. So
cool. Yep. All right. Residential sale. That's all you need to do on this page. It's creating your own transaction right now. It's a lot easier too once you get to 50 of them on this page, then when you need to go in and add or remove a contingency, an addendum, anything like that you need signatures on, all of the property information is already in here and it preloads the forms for you. All you do is go up to this little house deal and then it'll bring up all of the different transactions that you've done in the past. So just that's why I name them the address, so that I don't put something else in there. I just put the address so I can keep them straight.
mm-hmm.
Okay, back to some of the main things we look at. Text owner for showings, buyer agent to verify all of this. That's pretty standard verbiage. $50 HOA, so that's a homeowners association fee. You're going to want to know if that's monthly or yearly, and shame on them. They didn't put it in there. So we'll need to find out if that's monthly or yearly. It looks, I'm going to guess yearly, but
$50 for the whole year, I think.
Yeah, because it likely has a green space in the back that has either some trees or some sort of a maintenance that's needed, and but it's not an actual snow and mow. A lot of the homeowners associations are in condos and things like that.
And if it is a month, then we obviously need to get that information over to the lender right away too, because that'll factor in how much they can get pre-approved for. So.
Yep. Okay. The listing agent just texted me back and said that it is yearly, so we'll make sure and put that in there. Additional inclusions: garage shelving, some of the garage shelving, security camera, TV mounts. So you'll want to know that. Okay. And inclusions: garage shelving, some security camera, TV mounts. And then I can memorize the rest. So copy that, and then window covering, some dishwasher, fridge, stove, dishwasher. So it doesn't say microwave on there, but I remember in the showing that there was one, right?
Yeah,
So,
there is a microwave.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I saw it in pictures too.
how about, did you ask about the washer and dryer yet?
Nope.
Because they're in there, but they're not on inclusion. So I just want to make sure I'm representing my buyer the best. So, maybe they just forgot to put them in there. So I'm going to text the agent, just make a little list while you're filling this out, and call or text them, or just remember to ask them what's their intentions on the washer and dryer.
And there are no exclusions here, so that's generally you should be able to see that on the listing, but we're not able to see it.
Garage shelving, some security camera, TV mounts, and then dishwasher, microwave. Okay, so we just heard back from the selling agent, and they're not including the washer and dryer. So just to clear up any confusion, I'm going to ADD. So I'm going to put
You're
this
gonna
in
ADD?
here. Yeah.
Okay.
Wash
Sounds fun.
dryer.
ADD add
Yeah.
washer and dryer. There you go. That's
Yeah.
just spelled it out.
Yeah. So Mr. Jason
Lee's messing with his laptop right now.
laptop
That's
was
why we're joking.
on something. It was like a teeter totter, and it bugs a left-handed guy. Okay, next purchase price $245.
Yep, 245.
So just a prime example of why all of this upfront communication helps. Now we can zing through the rest of this. There's hardly anything that, I mean, I just asked all of the questions. Now I just got to put it in there.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go back to the office, and we're filling this out. And now, as an agent, if you ask all the questions up front in your buyer consult, or if you failed to ask in your buyer consult, make sure you get all the information before you're filling this out. Then you don't have to keep texting back and forth with your client, asking them questions as you go because of all the things that you forgot. So it's best just to have that checklist right up front of all the things that you need to know about your buyer and about the transaction, and get it all figured out. That way you can just go through, fill out the purchase agreement with ease, as opposed to struggling through the whole thing.
Do you think a pilot doesn't want to fail?
I think a pilot does not want to fail. Correct.
What's the only way you can pass a test, or the only way you can do a check ride, or the only way you can be a pilot is to have checklists. So then you don't fail. It's just a system to get used to, and just don't fight it. Just get in the system and
you just have to do it. You have to do it over and over and over again to learn it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to put on or before, and I can't do that in this screen, so I'm just going to go to the next one. Buyer and seller, there's two. Oh, I know, John. That's funny. I'm going to delete that because it has two names in one, and I don't want both their names to be on the same line. Otherwise, I got to erase it from each form individually. So here's where I'm going to add the buyer, create new contact, type buyer, Tom Davis. Is his full name Thomas?
Nope.
Okay. If it is, you want to put that in here because it has to read the same as on his driver's license.
Okay, good to know.
Davis. And if this was a rental property, make sure you get the right name in there the first time, because if they're thinking about doing an LLC and they're going to want to do it before closing, if you get a HUD accepted foreclosure and you need to change the name before closing, that's not going to work. They won't let you do an addendum. You have to actually cancel the deal, back out, chance losing it, go and make another offer online, and then get it done again. So get the correct name in the first time, especially on foreclosures.
Yep, that's happened to me actually personally before I was an agent. And just as a sidebar, all HUD homes are listed on HUDhomestore.com. HUDhomestore.com. So if you're ever looking for foreclosures for your clients, or just as a value add for your clients, you can go to the HUDhomestore.com and see all the HUD foreclosures. Won't have all the foreclosures because there's also Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but that gives you the HUD ones. So
awesome. Okay, next forms. Here we go. So we're just going to go down to North Dakota forms, and I do them in order of importance, just so that it stays in line with my head. You can do it however you want, but this is how I do it. Purchase agreement's most important to me.
And I think that's the way they should do it too. I mean, just to learn it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it in order makes sense. So the VA guaranteed, there's the VA form.
Yep. And then the third most important to me is the inspection contingency right there, addendum. Make sure and read this twice, because every once in a while, if you're in a hurry, you'll accidentally see inspection contingency and hit the removal.
What's the difference between the addendum and the removal? Which we're going to go over later too. But.
Yep, the addendum is the contingency that you're adding to protect your buyer in there, that if they don't like something on the inspection when it comes back, that they have a 7-day window to back out and get their earnest money back if they don't like what it says. And then the removal is what you do after you negotiate with the seller or see the the actual inspection and you're okay with it, then you hit get the removal, and then you can't back out because of the inspection anymore.
Okay.
Okay. So I know there's 5 pages on here and there's 1 page on here, but this is the only one I'm not real familiar with. So I believe it's 2. So then, because you have to know how many pages are total in your whole thing. Yep. So it's just 1. Perfect. So this is going to be page. I should do it in order, but 6 of 7, and I'm just going to do an order. So we'll start with the PA and just know that there's 7.
And we just went through the Minnesota purchase agreement, right? Where now they don't have pages, correct? The new one that we just
That's
did.
right.
So we don't have to worry about that. So North Dakota, you have to put the pages in. Minnesota, with the new forms, you don't have to worry about it because everything's together.
So there's 7 pages total. Today's date. $245 is our offer. Check into Hatch Realty or whoever the listing agency is.
Hatch in this circumstance always goes into the listing agent's brokerage.
Unless it's a for sale by owner, then it goes to the closing title company.
Or Williams brokerage.
Or ours, yep. Buyer agrees to finance, VA loan. There is no water softener. Got everything in here that we're supposed to. Washer, dryer.
So there's some discussion about, why don't you just keep filling that in while I talk. I can watch. Discussion about whether to use .loop or DocuSign or transaction desk. So as we go through these on all of these trainings, you'll see that a lot of these lines get filled in automatically for you through transaction desk based on the house that you're purchasing. So it actually does save you time to use transaction desk to do the purchase agreements, and that's why Lee uses it. It's easier and it saves him time. And he's pretty lazy. So.
I am. I say the word lazy. It's that's why salespeople make the best construction workers, because they do their thing is to get to point B as fast, or to Z as fast as possible. And when you're lazy, that's what you try to figure out how to do. So this is the quickest way possible.
Yeah. So transaction desk for buyer agents and for filling out purchase agreements is the fastest way to do it.
Okay, so we're going into documents and we're going to email them right now to my buyer. And then in the email, by this time they've hired you. So there's discussion about this, but I do the private one just because it has specials and it has all that stuff in there. And I just sending him this one, and it's going to say to my buyer, Mr. Davis. And then this is going to say, please review disclosures under documents tab, period. Purchase agreement coming soon. Okay. And yes, that all fits in here if you do it that way, just barely. Okay, and then email it to him.
He's written that in. He sends him the link to the property, and then he's asking him to review the property disclosures. So, and
then you text him. I just sent you an email. Period. Please review the documents.
So one thing that I've noticed this is our third time we've gone through this class, is that Lee does everything the same every time. And isn't that interesting? He's pretty much going through it, and he doesn't, even while we're teaching the class, he remembers to do it in the same steps, in the same order every single time, because it makes it faster, it makes it easier. He's done it so many times that he's found that in order to not forget anything, he just has the habits are in place now from just doing it over and over and over again the exact same way. So, which is great, and that's exactly how every new agent should do it.
Okay, built in 2012, so it's not. And then elects to have a property inspection. This is gross taxes. It's not discounted for elderly or handicap or something like that, or a veteran. So 2017. To the data, prorated to the date of close. So this is the taxes. Next is special assessments. So you gotta go back and look. So we have special assessments, unpaid $982. Title company is gonna get an exact. So
then the specials are $27.61.81, right? Or sorry. Yeah, 982,
Mhm.
35, and the specials, yearly specials are 108.82. So,
Yep.
Specials INST, when you're looking at that, new agents, that's your annual installment. INST stands for installment.
Mhm.
So total special is 982. Your annual installment, which would be added to your general taxes, is 108. So
Perfect.
a lot of agents get confused about that. New agents are always asking about that.
982. You can put in the cents here if you want, but it changes every day from interest anyways.
That just doesn't make sense.
Nice. Annual installments. Buyer and seller shall prorate to the date of close.
So they're saying the annual installments, that's that small dollar amount that we just looked at on the other page, is going to be prorated for the year. The specials will go with the buyer shall assume the 982. So the buyer is going to keep the specials, and if in a situation like that, if you want to ask the sellers to pay off the specials, if it's $982, that might be something you're able to do. Do you ask for it ever?
I don't.
No, because it's pretty common that the buyer shall assume. That's pretty much what happens all the time.
Correct.
But I might, if it's a smaller amount, I might say, hey, I want to get these paid off. They might go for it. So you throw it in there. So.
Yep. Yeah. Do what your buyers ask you to do. The specials, in the buyer consult, I let them know that the specials that are on the house, and if there's any up and coming specials, that benefits you as the homeowner. I mean, so it helps them soak it in their brains that anything that's coming up, if there's some pending and proposed specials, that the buyer's gonna take care of those because they benefit from it if it's a park next door or something like that. So explain it up front in the buyer consult, and then it's not a big deal when you find out there's up and coming specials. Seller to pay does not. I'm the buyer's agent. Natalie's the seller's agent. We're going to prorate these to the date of close, because that's like if there's a fuel in a tank out in the yard, natural gas. I'm working for my buyer. Sometimes if it's plump full and there's $800 worth of fuel in there, the seller might say, no, we're gonna have the buyer pay for some of that, but not very often. That's the 1 in 100. We don't need to talk about that, which I already did. Dual agency does not apply. When it does not apply, declines a home warranty. I've never done one in 11 years. Seller's not foreign. Yeah, so okay, we're done with 5 of the 7 pages.
I did just hear a strong argument for home warranties, though. So.
Yep, if your buyer tells you to, go for it.
It was on a training with Tim Harris on a podcast, and he said he sells them, or he asks for them all the time. And when he's listing, he always puts them on his listing. So something I'd want to do a little more research in, but it's definitely not something to just say, no, never going to do it. Because there are companies that are legit that offer home warranties that can be a lifesaver in a deal. So.
We called the lender, and we only need $2,500 in seller paid closing costs. So our offer is actually going to be $245 minus $2,500. So this, in the seller's eyes, our offer is actually $240.25 because we're asking for this also. That comes off the net. So here's that lender processing fee. Depends on which lender you use. Sometimes it's $200, sometimes it's $500. First International waives it, so I'm going to put 0 in here. That's just something that they're a local company and it's local money, and they want to benefit.
So we're putting 0 because the bank that we're working with, our lender, is actually not charging it, so we're not asking the seller to pay for it.
So, and in a multiple offer situation, this being 0 will help your offer look that many dollars better. It's a 2012 built home. If there's any peeling paint on the garage or something, I'm going to ask the seller to pay up to $250 to slap some paint on it or something to make it pass the appraisal. Reinspection seller. Did I put pages? Yep. Okay, we're 6/7 of the way done. Inspection contingency is the last one. So in the buyer consult, I already let them know that when we go through this, since we're getting a $7,500 discount, the seller is likely not going to want to fix anything at that, because if we give them full price, and in my heart that house is worth the 250. So we're essentially with the closing costs and everything, we're getting a $7,500 discount. If they accept that, then the seller isn't going to be able to afford to do any fixes, except for, you can still back out if you want to, if we see something that's a major item that we didn't see when we did the walkthrough and bought it, or if there's any safety issues, we'll make sure we go to bat for you and the seller pays for that. But if they can't afford it, or if they owe too much on the property, that's a possibility too. I'm not trying to plant seeds or cast doubt or make them feel bad about their offer, but that's just things that most of the time happen. There's a lot of people who are tanked on their houses or upside down, and maybe this guy owes 250 and he's borrowing 10 grand from his parents to get out of it. You never know the situation. I'm just throwing it out there that's what we hear a lot of times. If we hear back, they might come back and say, I'm sorry, we can't go to less than $250,000. So then it's a lot easier conversation, because I'm here to put deals together, not stand in the way of them. Yes, I'm here to make sure and protect my buyer that they didn't pay too much. That's what the lender does. The lender sends out a licensed appraiser and makes sure that we didn't pay $1 too much for this house. So we are protected by that, and the inspection. So your condition has to be good in order for the inspection to pass also. So you are protecting your buyer. Just let them know that they may come back with a full price counter, because it's only, you had to check the days on the market. It depends on what the days on the market are. So today.
And if it's 100 days on market and they just had a price reduction 30 days ago, this is probably a reasonable offer in this market. So
it's right in Fargo. It's not a $1 million house with 8,000 square feet. I just talked to my inspector yesterday, and so he is around 7 business days out. So 7 business days is actually, that includes a weekend. So you'll have like 10 days. So yeah, he's fine with me putting 7 days in here. But you need to have a good relationship with your inspector for that reason.
Have you had a deal fall through because you haven't been able to get the inspection done in time, or how often are you not able to get the inspection?
Once in 11 years, my buyers wanted to do a radon inspection, and it took 1 day past, but we just knew, we knew within 3 days that it was going to be 8 days before I could do it. So I over communicated, called the selling agent and said, sorry, is that okay if we can extend that 7 days to 8 days? And they said, yeah, no problem.
Why would you ever over communicate? It seems like a waste of energy.
Because
why would you bother communicating with the listing agent about that?
Serious. The reason I do it is because I don't have confrontation with people, because I don't have to get to where an issue is defensive, because I already talked about it ahead of time. That's why a buyer consult is pertinent, that you have to have that, because it just overcomes any objections up front. And if you over communicate and have a great relationship with your buyers, but even just as important as the listing agents, because they know that I'm not dicking around. When I come in with an offer, they're pre-approved, they're educated, they're not going to jerk anyone's chain or waste anyone's time. Like, my people we've been through that buyer consult. They know, not to be ridiculous on anything.
And I think the other thing that Lee has a reputation for is they know that he's not going to beat him up over the inspection. With the inspection, if the house is in really good shape, if I was a listing agent and Lee was bringing me an offer, I know that Lee's not going to bring me the whole inspection report and say, you need to fix, there's 74 things on this, you need to fix 71 of them. All of these need to be done
right
before closing, and have that expectation. And I think a lot of newer agents don't understand that, which is why we're going to go through the inspection contingency removal form, and we're going to have the like a mock inspection report that we're going to pretend to go through. So
cool.
What would be nice is if we had actual inspection report without an address on it. We
Mhm.
could do that on a different class. Show agents what they look like.
27th Street. Same as it's listed the same. The authentic sign is listed the same as the actual transaction. So participants, we'll just put in Mr. Buyer. Documents, all of them.
Is there anything you need to sign?
Oh, I love that. This is the first time I actually saw that property disclosure is now in here, just automatically. Love this.
This just got added?
Yep. Now I don't have to go here, save it to my desktop, upload it, all that.
So they just changed that, huh?
Yep. They just did it now. All the disclosures all come in with.
Nice.
Love it.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But you still want to email it to them. You just don't have to download it like you did in the other two.
Correct. Yep.
Got it.
I would have had to upload it in here anyways, but it just saves like 14 clicks, man.
I know. Oh, it makes a difference though.
All right. There we go.
If you're going to do a ton of business, every little thing that is a distraction or adds time makes your life harder. If you can avoid it, avoid it.
I need to do something. What's this? From now on, so that I don't have to right click and add the date stamp on all these. So let's just pretend I add a date stamp on all of those because you have to have them dated. Otherwise, your assistant or you'll get flagged on it. You have to have a date on it. So this, it's not dual agency. It automatically puts that in there. So I'll need to delete that one.
It does that all the time, no matter what. It's just something that people need to pay attention to.
I bet that's on like 14th on the list. So I bet if I called the toll-free number for FBS data, which is right here in Fargo, 235-7300.
I'm sure it's just a glitch in their system that they need to fix.
Or just a setting that I need to find out from them and just have them take it out of there. Same with this, with the date on it. I bet I can.
Yeah, you should try to do that in the next week and see if we can get that resolved.
Sure. VA, I just kind of skimmed through, make sure I got all these figured out. Date stamp.
Good to go through and proofread everything.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everything's correct. Make sure you get all your boxes checked. The numbers are right. And make sure you didn't add an extra zero or have too few zeros before you send anything off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always good to go through the whole thing again.
Add all your initials and then right click and put the date in there too. Make sure they're all these are full, and then pull in the signature into the buyer's signature there too, and right click and put the dates in there also, and then hit next.
Yeah. And
then there's one more click before it sends it. I did this last night when I sold a house, and so right here I still have a chance to customize it. So it didn't send it quite yet. So it send invitations. I can go back. So here, if I hit send invitations, then I go to Tom's cell phone because he already is expecting me to text him as soon as I sent it to him, just in case it spam grabbed it out of his email or something. And I text him, Tom, I just sent you an email that needs your electronic signatures on your offer. Please let me know if you have any questions. Fingers crossed, smiley face. All right, so now we're gonna do.
So that's done. So we sent it off, and we're not actually gonna send it because that person doesn't exist. But
yep. All right, we got that inspection back, right?
We got the inspection back. Yep.
And so now, Mr. Buyer, I looked through the inspection. There's a few things on there. I work for you, and I know we talked about that we're only going to ask for major items or safety issues. Did you get a chance to look over the inspection?
We did, yeah. I mean, my wife and I went through there. There were a ton of things on there. It was surprising. I mean, I thought this was a nice house, but there's just so many things on there. Like that outlet didn't work in the kitchen, and then there was a little leak in the tub drain or the tub faucet.
Mm-hmm.
The caulking on the surround was a little off. There was a couple of shingles that were peeled up a little bit, and so now we're worried about the roof, and that we're gonna have to replace the roof. And one of the gutter pieces needs a screw, and there was It's just a constant thing. So we look through it. I mean, so we want to do, we're gonna want to ask for about 75% of the stuff that they do at all.
Okay.
Because we just don't. Otherwise, I just don't know how we're gonna move it in.
All right. I appreciate that. I do know good news. I do have a handyman that works pretty inexpensive. So I'll do the best I can. I work for you. I appreciate you asking. And so, I'm going to clarify exactly what you want. So, and remember that, when we were in our buyer consult, that we said and since the seller gave us a $7,500 discount, that they likely won't want to fix anything on the house except for major items and safety issues. So, I mean, I know you're a good guy. You deserve this VA loan. The VA, this house is going to pass. I mean, the only things that VA is ever going to think about flagging, there's none on this one. Like the handrails, there's no peeling paint, there's no cracked foundation, there's no, the inspector went up in the attic and there's no mold or mice, and there's great drainage away from the house, and all the major items that we talked about are good on it. And like I say, I work for you. I will put some of this on a removal. I just want to remind you, and I work for you. So as your as your real estate agent, there was 3 other offers. Remember that they had on this house, and if we go asking for a few things, I mean they might not back out, but I have to tell you that as your agent. So with that being said, the 2 things that I did see on there, the smoke alarms need batteries, that's safety. And then there's one little reverse polarized wire or something in the box that I saw. We could ask them for that. I've had conversations with Natalie before. She's a very good person and got her head on straight. So I mean, she'll understand. And the only other thing was that the sump pump might need to be replaced. So just a few of these things that are landmines that could cause an issue later.
Yeah, the sump pump was to look like it was from pretty. So you think we should maybe just ask for a couple of the bigger things?
I do.
I mean, that's what we talked about.
I do. If I was that seller, they really like you. You're a veteran, and they really want to work with you because they served also. And so that being said, I mean, they want to work with you. They're not going to lose a deal. But if I was them, they did give you $7,500 off the house. So I mean, if I was them, I wouldn't want to discount much more. I don't want to push them too much. Is that okay if we just ask for these things that I advised?
That's right.
The safety issues so nothing major in there. Nice house. Congratulations. I will email you for electronic signatures on those things that we just clarified as to what's wrong or what you want fixed, and fingers crossed they fix them.
Okay. You walk them through the inspection contingency removal?
Oh,
Add that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have to go. You can just do that and then just hit stop broadcast, and then I think it just stops, and then you hit publish. So.
All right.
Take 5 more minutes. What's our bold law?
On what?
We have to say bold law to make sure that our new agents are actually watching these videos.
Oh, yeah.
Where's your thing?
Yep.
Let's pick one.
Well, make sure.
Where's your bold law sheet?
That you're not. I've got one. Make sure that you're not mistaking busyness for business.
Oh yeah, don't mistake movement for achievement.
Yeah.
Or business. Yeah, busyness for business.
Yep.
Okay, that's it.
Don't do the most. Do the most important.
Yeah, cool. So we'll put that in there. I'll give that to Sarah, and then we'll add it to the list.
Sweet. So we just got to add this. Well, thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. So lastly, we're just going to add a form to this transaction, FM Realtors ND forms, and then inspection removal like we talked about before. Removal and add. And I'm going to fill this out before I send it to Authentisign. Pausing, waiting. Okay, today's date. And we wrote the offer just 3 days ago, so we're just going to say there. And then negotiating, and then just type in exactly what you already clarified that seller wants you, or buyer wants you to put in here. To replace some pump with a new one. And smoke alarms. to be in working order. And C, bare wire to be fixed or replaced in junction box C13A on inspection report. You can put that C13A, there's going to be numbers on all of these for the sump pump. You can put C, whatever number it is. So, and the smoke alarms. That's it. And we're going to file, exit, and Authenticsign. We're going to create a new Authenticsign. So this is going to be the removal. Participants, we went through this already. So Tom, and documents, just add the, yeah. So close, add, transaction, Tom Davis, add, documents, removal, add, Tom is the buyer, design, and we just make sure that the signatures, it doesn't need to be under waiver, so we're just going to put it's under negotiation. So it's either negotiation or waiver. If there was no fixes, then we hit waiver and have them sign on this line. So Tom Davis, next. We're going to, then after you hit send invitations, then you text them and say, I sent you an email that needs your electronic signatures on the inspection removal. Please let me know if you have any questions, smiley face. And then you are done. So nice work on that. North Dakota home with VA financing and an inspection contingency. Have a great day.